Stop podcast surfing. You're in the right place. I've always wanted to sing. Hi, everyone. I am your host, Kimbralon B. I'm a licensed counselor, but I'm not your counselor. And I'm also the host of Good Tea and Reads. So I created Good Tea and Reads so we could use everyday topics, issues, and current events to explain the importance of mental health awareness. Most mental health discussions are so important because so many people suffer in silence or do not realize that they're dealing with mental health issues because of stigma, society, and family expectations, and other reasons. Some episodes on Good Tea and Reads are heavy and will make us think. Other episodes will be very enlightening or refreshing. But either way, you will have an awesome experience. Here's the disclaimer. Any information shared on Good Tea and Reads is not a substitute for seeking professional care from another professional. Any information shared on Good Tea and Reads is not meant to diagnose the subjects or persons discussed on this podcast. Also, any information shared on this show is for conversational, inspirational, and educational purposes as well. So, all right, this intro is long enough. All right, so go grab your cups really quick. Go, 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 go. So I can pour this piping hot tea. Meet me inside on this episode in 1, 2, 3. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Good Tea and Reads. I am your hostess with the mostest, Kimbralon B, everyone. How is it going? I don't know where you're tuning in after the show. I'm not sure where you're at, but where we're at, it's like absolutely sunny outside and amazing. And if you're somewhere where it's cold and snowing, I'm not trying to throw it in your face, but we endure the summers to get to this nice weather that we're having right now. But you're probably wondering, who is this person talking about the weather? Because I'm definitely not a weather person. So my name again is Kimberlon B. I am a licensed counselor and I'm not your counselor. I always have to say that because I don't know what you're dealing with or what you're going through. And there's other licensed professionals that are probably closest to you that could work directly with you and help you on whatever you need help on. Okay. So a little bit of how Good Tea and Reads came to be, I like to share on every show. By me being a licensed counselor, unfortunately, everyone does not get to me. Some people decide to try to figure it out on their own, and that's okay. Some people's is stigma surrounding getting mental health treatment. Like some people may think I'm crazy or all other types of stigma, or it's that guilt and shame that may be connected to whatever. So unfortunately, you may not get to me, but I decided to take my show on the road because I want each and every person to know as much as we take care of our physical health, it's just as important to take care of your mental health. And we really don't talk about mental health that much. I decided to just go out and just educate the community by a podcast. So I didn't have to wait for any speaking platforms. Now I can just press record and I can actually talk about mental health and everyday topics. All right, one thing that I did learn along this journey is that even though I'm a licensed counselor, I do not know it all. So I team up with amazing people that bring their expertise to the table and they share what they do. And then I share the mental health piece. So it's like teaming up for a good cause. And these people are pretty amazing. So I want to tell you about my guest. So I met this guest from a mutual friend that became a guest. And so we were talking about this organization that my friend belongs to, and I was like, "Hey, I love that organization. I love going to the meetings, but it's a little too far. Where we live at, everything is far. If it's across town, I mean, it's a 30 or 40-minute drive." And then she was like, "Hey, so I know somebody who is fabulous that's closest to you." And I was like, "What?" The guest was like, "Hey, I like her energy. She brings energy, and you'll see when you meet her." And I was like, "Okay." So, which was really neat. I reached out to my guest today, and she was like, "Come on by." And so when I came by in the room, it was like, what? It was just amazing. And we had the best conversation. So not only did I learn a little bit about the organization that she belongs to, I learned about her expertise. And so how many of you all know, like, when people really care, they care about you? It's some people that say that they care, and you see it comes with strings, and there's other people that truly do care. So, with my guest today, which was very interesting, I was like in this low place. That's how I was explaining to her before we started recording. I was low, wasn't depressed, just feeling kind of low, just navigating, getting through. That's This is the first holidays without my parents. And she was like, "Hey, come to a class. I'm having a class." Went to the class, the breath work class, everybody. And I'm not just saying that because my guest is here. I felt so much better. It was like a recharge. First, I felt like refreshed, and then it was a recharge, and she'll share more about those techniques later. And I thought that that was amazing that it worked out that way. And we were talking about the timing because we've been trying to connect for a while, and then we happened to connect after the class, and oh my gosh, yes, I have to agree with my guest. It worked how it worked. And what was another plus about my guest is that we have the same name. So, so this is even amazing when you meet a Kim, just as amazing as you are. So I'm excited about that. So enough of me talking about my guest. I'm going to yield the mic over to my guest. Kim, would you like to share about yourself?
Absolutely. Kimberlin, thank you so much for having me on today. I've been so excited to be able to share what I do with you and everyone who follows you. I know you've been able to recently experience what I do. And
Yes.
so my thing is that I create safe spaces, and those spaces allow people to connect, grow, and find the joy in life. And there are a few different modalities that I use to be able to create that safe space so that way then people can really dive in and do some really, really deep work to level up in their lives.
Nice. Well, thank you. And thank you so much for coming to Good Tea and Read. So, I do want people to understand how you're creating those safe spaces. So, y'all, we're getting ready to get started. I want to throw out a quick disclaimer. Any information shared on Good Tea and Reads is for conversational, inspirational, and educational purpose. And again, it does not substitute you looking for a higher level of care if that's what you need. Again, someone that's closest to you. All right. I have to give the topic name. And Kim, what I like about this show, Good Tea and Reads, I try to tie everything into tea or read. So tea is like information. I like to give good tea, good information about mental health or anything that's connected to help us feel good mentally. And so reads is periodically I may have authors on the show, or I may review a book to talk about mental health. So, because of that, Kim and listeners, I like to use tea in my titles or some tea based thing. So, the name of this show today is Serena Tea of Breathwork and Empowering You. So, that's you, that's anybody. So, I want to start out with a quote because I always like to set the stage with a quote. And the quote is real simple, but it's powerful. And it says, "Deep breaths are the little love notes to your body." I found that, Kim and listeners, to be setting for today since we're talking about breath work. But even from my experience with breath work, I see why they said it's little love notes of the body because while you're going through that, it's like you're actually working on you. Whatever's going on, whatever's weighing you down or whatever that looks like, you are working on you and you are giving yourself that love that you need and deserve. So, with that being said, Kim, can you explain to the listeners what is breath work?
What is breath work? Well, first of all, Kimberlyn, I will say that I will bring the serenity to
Yeah.
your show.
Yes,
All right.
thank you. That was perfect.
Thank you. Thank you. I was pretty excited about that one myself. All right. So, what is breath work? So, we have found that breath work is the easiest way that we have found to really connect our subconscious to our conscious, to be able to sort through, filter out, work through whatever it is in our bodies that we need to release to be able to level up in life. And so, the type of breath work that we offer is conscious connected breathing. And so there are a variety of different techniques out there, and that's what we focus on. And so it can be a million different things. It can be everything all at once, but really whatever it is that the person needs, that's what they get. So it's an experience where you are laying on a mat and you're guided to be doing specific types of breathing, and that's when the magic happens. And it's so tough to say what's going to happen because it's different every time. But hopefully that kind of answers your question of what it is. I mean, in our day to day life, yes, we breathe all of the time. But when you can do something with intention, and this is true not only just with breath work, but with everything in life, is that when you are intentional about what you are doing, that is when a lot of the magic happens in your life. And that is true with breath work as well. So when you're intentional about the way that you are breathing, there are things that can happen that will not happen in your day-to-day life as you are breathing, as you're driving around in your car and walking the dog.
That's definitely true. I know we on my side, when people come see me in the counseling sessions, sometimes like when they're anxious or something's going on or we're really processing something that's pretty rough, we will stop to do breathing exercises or we give them breathing exercises. And you're right, when you breathe with intention, it does make a difference because I think some people think when we talk about breath work, and I was so glad that you shared what you shared because I think they think, well, I breathe every day. No, we breathe every day. It's like autopilot breathing.
Mhm.
And the only time we become aware of it is if we ran a mile and we're like, "Ugh," that's or something's going on and you know, your oxygen feel like it's not reaching your brain or something. You know, that's when you become aware of it. But when you take that time out, like you were sharing, and being intentional and setting that intention, it does make a difference. And I like also what you were sharing about where the unconscious meets the conscious.
Mhm.
Because sometimes we may think we know what we're dealing with because we can see it, but there's things that exist in most of us that we're not aware of that could be
Absolutely.
impacting us.
And honestly, a lot of people, Kimberly, still have not heard of breath work. They don't know that it's a modality that's out there. And so sometimes when I say that that's what I offer is breath work, I either get a deer in headlights because people haven't heard of it, or they think I'm saying breast work, or, they're like, well, there are some people who say, oh, I do yoga. I breathe in yoga. And it's like, that's great, but that's not the type of breath work that we're doing. I mean, it is specifically breathing and you're doing nothing but focusing just on your breath.
Exactly. Yeah, because when I heard about it, not gonna lie, that's why I was like, "What? What is this?" You know? And I was like, "Let me go check it out and see what it is." And it's interesting that you share some modality. It's not something somebody's just pulling out of the sky, everyone. This is something that's intentional. And when it's a modality, it's been proved that it can work, that it works.
Absolutely. Yeah, it can be an
Yes.
absolute game changer for people.
So, Kim, what encouraged you to pursue breath work?
You know, yeah, it started personally. I mean, we had heard that breath work could be a really intense experience and that it could be almost like a mild psychedelic trip. And so, like most things in life, I'm willing to try things at least once, right? And so we drove up to northern Arizona and tried breath work with someone, and we didn't experience anything. And we
Oh,
just
wow.
listened to some cool music, and that was that. And I really didn't have an experience the way that I was kind of, hoping for. Now, towards the end, I will say I knew that something had happened, but at the time, I wasn't really quite sure what it even meant. After
Hmm.
breathwork, the facilitator had us take a huge piece of paper and draw out whatever we were feeling, whatever our experience was. And so, whatever was in my mind, I had drawn out. And there was a woman on the other side of the studio, and she drew exactly the same picture that I had drawn.
Wow.
That was about everything that happened. So I'm like, okay, well, there's something there. I don't understand or don't get it. And so it was a couple years before somebody else had convinced us to try breath work again. And that's the time that really just blew me away. I just couldn't believe what had happened. I remember I'm on my back, right? Because we're on our backs on a mat and you're breathing. And I felt like my whole body was crying. And at the time, I was not an emotional being. I shoved emotions down for decades. I was a professional at it, right? So for me to be crying and feeling like my whole body was crying was a new development in my life. And I remember looking around the room thinking, the same thing I think in Vegas is, are they pumping something into the air in this room? Because this is not normal, the fact that I am this emotional after breathing. My closest friends hadn't seen me cry. So, that's really what kicked it off and started the breath work.
Oh, nice. What convinced you to pursue it like professionally to help others or assist others?
Yeah, my partner Jake was so impressed by how much it was helping him that he went and tried everybody's breath work, and he took what he found to be the most powerful aspects of each type of breath work and rolled it into the breath work that we offer to people today.
Nice. Oh my gosh. That's really nice.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's amazing. So, the breath work is at its core just incredibly, incredibly transformational. And then for my end on it, the classes that I lead, I usually pair it with a sound bath. And I absolutely love that combination because with breath work, you can dig really, really deep and you can stir up a lot of emotions that you've been shoving down for a long time. And so you're releasing those, and then the sound just washes it all away. And so I love the combination of the 2. It's an incredibly powerful experience.
can you describe a little bit of the sound bath for
The sound bath,
everyone?
sure. Yeah.
Yes.
So there's different instruments, and so there are different, frequencies and vibrations and things that help our body, and so, just like with breath work, there's all these modalities, and when you have maybe trapped emotions, stored emotions, there's trauma that's held in our bodies. Trauma can look like anything. It can be someone was mean to you in the 2nd grade, it could be just the birthing process of when you were, birthed, when you have surgeries, people who are, they've experienced domestic violence. Trauma can look like a bunch of different stuff. But a lot of times, if we're not processing that, our bodies hold on to it. And eventually, that is when the dis-ease will happen. And that's when you get sick if you're not processing through these things and letting them go. So when your body's storing them, that's when the breath work, the sound bath, these other modalities come into play to be able to help these releases. And so with the sound bath, I'll usually use crystal bowls, gongs, chimes, some drumming, just kind of depending on what the situation calls for. And
Mhm.
it puts you almost like into a trance like state. And it's so relaxing. It's like kind of like, with breath work and the sound bath, that trance state, like when you're in a massage and you're in
Yes.
that in between state where you're not really awake, you're not really asleep, and that's kind of the place where you go with things like breath work and sound bath. So that way then your body can release and get rid of those things that we are holding on to. Even if we don't mean to be holding on to them, sometimes
Mhm.
it just does happen.
That's so true. That is so true. I know, after class that evening, I know one of the participants was like, I don't know if I fell asleep or not. And so I was just thinking when you was talking about they could have been at that relaxed state at that time. And I think it's so hard for some people to distinguish because we are so on the go, on the go, on the go. So we either think that we're awake or that we're asleep. We don't think about the rest state or the state where we can experience that peace.
Absolutely, I know. And even if you do fall asleep and you can still receive the benefit of the breath work, of the sound, you may not remember it, but I mean, so every once in a while someone does fall asleep, but there's still benefit there.
Yes, I agree. So I was thinking about like stigmas that I encounter when people come to counseling, why they don't want to come to counseling because you can't control your emotions, or people may think that I'm crazy, so forth and so on. And this is a bonus question, Kim, I didn't even have it on my list.
That's
I had
great.
some
I
of the
love it.
verbiage, but some people, when it comes to like breath work, yoga, things like that, some people attribute it or try to connect it to being as magical or someone playing God or some type of evil. If somebody has a religious background, some type of ceremony. I'm saying demonic because some people can actually go there, but that's a long story about, people and their thoughts. When in reality, it's actually about guiding people, like you said, towards that self awareness and teaching them how to regulate their emotions. Have you encountered anyone before that may come in and say, like, I don't want to do this. I don't know if this is right. This doesn't align with my religion. Have you ever encountered that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting because like there is no talk about religion. Like when we do breath work, I mean, there are probably practitioners out there who do push whatever religion that they believe in. I don't care if
Yeah.
you believe in a pink elephant as your, peaceful savior or whatever it is. Like really the religion does not matter to me. It is about connecting to your body and it's about leveling up in your life the best that you can. So we have people from every religion probably who have come through the doors, both who used to practice and currently do. It's not really ever talked about. It's not really ever, necessary. And, anyone who might be feeling like there is a demonic presence, if that's something that they are negative about, they will not find their way to our space. So,
Yes.
in order for people to show up, at my doorstep, it's because they are seeking something more in life and they
Hmm.
are ready to let go of their shit and they're ready to level up. And so, is everyone ready to do that? No.
No.
And is
No.
everyone ready to do that at the depth that we do it? No. So there are a select few people who show up who realize that the deep work that we do, they're not ready for it. And that's okay. I might see them in a
Hmm.
year, 5 years, 10 years. But most of the people who will end up knocking on the door are the people who are ready for a change in their life.
Yes, I have to agree with you. Like, if they are ready to let go, or not, they may come there at this place thinking, yeah, I'm ready to let go. And then they get there and like, no, 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 no. And that's why we are there. Whether you come see me or you go see Kim, listeners and viewers, that's why we are there, because you don't have to have your mind made up. Sometimes people don't even realize that they may be, I'm just going to use the word battling, since we're talking about this, battling with something. Just like Kim said earlier, the unconscious with the conscious. You may not know that you're dealing with something. And when you come, you may be like, yes, you know what? I'm tired. I'm ready to make the change. But when you get there and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I want to make the change, or it seems like you're holding on to something. Reason being is because sometimes change scares people, and we understand that on both of our arenas. We understand you may not know, and you may leave, or you may not come back, or you may come back in a year or 5 years. And that is okay, because sometimes as humans, we don't make our minds up. It's not a one and done. Sometimes we're like, hey, yes, I'm ready to do this and I'm ready. But sometimes we're like, ooh, yeah,
Yeah,
because
but sometimes
Dylan,
we dip a
uh
toe in and we're like, ooh, JK, I'm gonna
yes, backing
back up
up.
a little bit. Which is okay. And, honestly, Kimberly, there's a million modalities out there. And I just
Yes,
tell everybody, talk therapy is not the one cure. Breath work is not the one thing it is not
correct.
usually one thing. It is like start trying all of these things because it's a different mixture for everybody as to what is
Yes.
going to get you the furthest at that point in your life. And just because you do
Yes.
breath work now doesn't mean that in 10 years you have to do it. It's that what works for you now to level up your game.
Exactly. I agree. I'm like, go somewhere to get what you need. I so much agree with that. If it doesn't work, like I talk about counseling, but hey, if that doesn't work, go try my friend's studio. Like
Mhm.
get there. Try that and see. And like you said, if that doesn't, try something else. What we want for you to get healed. It's not about us gaining your business. We want you to get the healing that you deserve. Because more than likely, if it's trauma or anything else that's trapped, you've been carrying it far too long, far too long. Oh,
And Kimberly, what
mhm.
we've really noticed is that the participants who do talk therapy alongside breath work, and they're doing both on like a weekly basis, the growth is phenomenal. Phenomenal.
Wow.
Yeah,
See?
when you combine the two together, I mean, I love it when people start showing up at the studio and they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm going to therapy. Great, this is amazing."
Yes. I
Mhm,
can see how both would work well together. I mean,
mhm.
even from my personal experience, Kim, because of course, me being a counselor, I know how that piece worked. But doing that work and then coming there and getting that, I like to call it freedom, y'all. Y'all have to try it. I don't know another word to call it, but just getting that release, that freedom, that recharge, whatever you want to look like, that like seals the deal. I can see how both of those work together.
Yeah, we
So
like to say
yes.
that like the therapy really gives you the tools, but not necessarily the space. And the breath work gives you the space, but not necessarily the tools. And I think that's why it works so well together for people.
Yes, that actually answered the next question too, so that was pretty awesome. Yeah, and the other part was, I think you just said it, and I'll probably have you say it again, was how is breath work different than counseling and therapy?
Yeah. So breathwork can have a variety of experiences. You can do breathwork 100 times and have 100 unique experiences. So the first time you come in, it might be incredibly emotional. And then the second time you come in and you're like, oh my God, I'm going to cry again. And you may not cry at all. It might be incredibly physical and you might have um, old injuries that are really hurting in your body. It could be a physical experience during the breathwork. And then the next time it could be spiritual or mental, and so it is different every single time. And so being able to process through what happens, what you see, what comes up, what emotions you feel, um, it's great that you can go to talk therapy after the breathwork session at some point in that week and be able to process through what happened because it doesn't always make sense. Sometimes things come up with breathwork about someone in our life. Why is this person coming up? And then you feel this really flood of emotions about this person and being able to connect the dots a little bit. Having a good therapist like Kimberlin can help you put those dots together of, why is this coming up in breath work? What do we need to focus on? What do we need to
Mhm.
work through and be able to talk through some of those situations that come up in the breath work sessions itself.
Yes. Thank you. So you answered this also because the next question was like, do you see that breath work can be a complement to mental health or should it happen at separate times? So since you kind of answered that, I'm going to spin it a little bit. Do you think that there is a time where people should start with breath work first before coming to counseling or therapy for their mental health?
I think breathing is essential for being on this
Mhm.
planet. And what I have noticed with all of the collaborations that I do with other working professionals, other people in the health and wellness field, is that once they're introduced to the breath work that we do, these practitioners are now starting to incorporate some sort of breathing into the techniques that they are offering to their clients because it's so important. And so I feel like breath work can happen at any point. However, I do notice a lot now that the practitioners that I work very closely with, they have a lot of clients that come in and they're like, we need them to be connected to their bodies. We need them to be breathing
Mhm.
more deeply because a lot of people breathe really shallow just to hear when we have our entire bodies that we could be utilizing. And so, in order for certain practitioners to be able to do their job, they need their clients to start doing some breath work first. And so sometimes it's them just starting to do some sort of breathing in their offices. And other times it's, hey, you need to go see Kim for a couple of breathwork sessions before you come back and work with our modality. So sometimes the practitioners really want the breathwork first.
I can see it too. I can see it even from my personal experience attending class. I can see why that would be essential in certain situations. I almost said with all situations because even leaving, even though it helped me feel really good and refreshed, I was thinking immediately, gosh, to have this collaborate with therapy or combine with therapy, oh my gosh. Oh, this would be the best. This
Yeah,
would be the best. It
incredibly
definitely
powerful.
aids in yes, powerful and aids in healing. Like you said, and it's not just a one and done, like just going back, process over here, talk therapy here, come and do your breath work. I see why
Mhm,
someone can be fully recharged. And what I do like about that with both of them working together, this just came to me. It's an aha moment, Kim. It just came to me is that it's working on the whole person.
mhm,
Because with talk therapy, we usually work on the thoughts, the minds, helping people deal with what's going on in their minds, even though it impacts their body. I have to say that because I don't want any therapist coming after me saying, we do more than that. And we do. But I'm just saying, with the breath work that works on the whole body, I mean, at least there's that guarantee that it's taking care of the whole person.
mhm. So with talk therapy, think about it this way, as you're talking through things with your talk therapist, the release that is usually happening is vocal. And we have releases in a million ways, and talking is a form of release. However,
Yes.
something like breath work, you can yawn, you can cry, you can shake, you can giggle, you can vibrate. I mean, there are a lot of ways to be able to have those releases physically, energetically, and it, it opens up so much more of emptying out the negative so that way then we can start pouring the positive into us then.
Wow, thank you. That's so well put. So well put. So, can you share a little of what people will experience coming to see you?
Sure. So the breathwork sessions that we have, it's usually straight breath work. Sometimes it's paired with another modality. It might be paired with hape, a sound bath. Sometimes we do collaborations like a vagus nerve reset, pelvic floor health. There's different things that we can add to it. But with breath work, we set intentions. Whatever we expect and desire and want in our life, that's what we do. And so our intention is a really strong, important part of what we do with breath work. So setting an intention, and then we have everybody lay down and guide them through breath work for about 15 to 20 minutes. And we go
Mhm.
through different styles of breathing, different tempos. So that way, then you'll know what your options are for when you have the solo part of the class. Solo part of the class, lights are usually off, candles are lit, and you'll know exactly what to do from the guided portion. And you are your own guide, and you are free to do whatever it is that your body wants you to do. And so there are an infinite amount of possibilities of what can happen. And so every time you come to breath work, you're bringing in different energy, you're bringing in different experiences. There might be different things that you need to work on emotionally. And then you mix that with what the intention is. And then the group energy plays a part, your facilitator plays a part, the playlist plays a part. And so every time it's completely different. And so um I don't even remember what your question was. What they can
You
expect, I guess. So that's for the breath work. And then I offer women's retreats, and at the women's retreats we offer breath work, but there's also different modalities that happen at the retreats that allow for that connection and release and growth to happen.
perfect. I know when I came there, I like that you start out with set the intentions. And sometimes we're coming with this expectation, but then what are we expecting? Or what is or, we're not coming there with that focus. So when you went around the room and asked us our intention, I think that was really good because it gave everyone like that focal point.
Mhm.
And then how you closed it out, same thing again when you close it out. I thought that that was really neat as well.
Yeah, there's a couple things to that. It's not like you're like, when you pull up at the car dealership, you're not like, hey, just send a car out my way. I want to purchase one, right? I mean, you get pretty specific about what do you want. And it's like, well,
Yes.
you know what you want to drive. What do you want your life to be like? Who do you want to be? What does that look like? And so, yeah, the intention plays a very, very important part in all of it, but specifically for the breath work. Yes.
I
And the
like
the
that.
sharing at the end, I know sometimes the sharing can be, um, difficult for people when they first show up because it's difficult to be seen sometimes. And so you don't have to share at the end. There is a lot of value and benefit in being able to be seen and heard.
Yeah. I know it could be probably hard because sometimes we have to share. I'm like, what if I say something and people be like, what? But again, see, that's me. I'm like, that's your thought. You haven't even shared yet, therapist, me, you haven't even shared yet. So just share.
Mhm,
Because it is your experience, and I
mhm,
think anyone participating in that, it is your experience. Your intention may not be the same as any intentions that's in the room, but it's yours, and
mhm.
us taking time out to take care of us. Because when I shared mine, I was like, "Wow." That was amazing, and I told you it was, like, connected to that medical procedure because I probably had some
Mhm.
nerves surrounding the upcoming medical procedure, and then I just felt at ease for that also, in addition to my other work that I was doing.
I love that. That's so perfect. Yes.
So you had mentioned about your women, and that's one of the empowering you. So you do the breath work. In addition to that, you talked about the fabulous retreat that you have coming up in January.
Mhm.
So how did you get into I call it the women empowerment piece. And let me clarify everyone that's listening, because I don't want them to think that we're like, hell no, we won't go. No, it's not that type of empowerment. So can you share about how you added that to your journey?
Yeah, absolutely. Years ago, when we started offering breath work, I did not have anything specific just for women. It was all co-ed and that's all we did. But I started meeting really incredible women on this path. And I kind of just wanted to start gathering women. And so I did. I hosted a sound bath. Hadn't ever even been to a sound bath. So I brought somebody in who borrowed singing bowls from someone she was dating. And I just hodgepodged it together. And it was an incredibly powerful experience. And so I decided from there that I would start offering a women's class once a month, not only just to bring women together, because the older I become, the more I hear women say, I can't meet new friends. The older I get, it's
Yes.
harder to meet new people. And for me, I think it's the opposite. I think it's super easy to meet people now. Like I love meeting new people and connecting them. And so I realized that I have this amazing group of women around me, but not everybody does. But I want everyone to experience that, whether it's the connection with one solid female friend or whether you have an entire tribe and community behind you. I feel like everyone needs to have that support. We are not meant to do this life alone. And so offering that one women's class a month, not only does it bring women together, but you put together a group of powerful women who are on a path, who have like a sight in mind that they are ready to improve. And it is a powerhouse. Those classes are so strong. You can feel the energy. It's absolutely amazing. And so a couple of years after doing the women's classes, someone who had come to us for some healing work had said, hey, I think I want to start offering retreats. I'm like, that's super cool. She's like, will you do it with me? Sure, I'll do one with you and see how, right? Like, I don't say no. I had never been to a retreat. I don't know what you do at retreats, but I'm like, sure, let's try one. And so we hosted our first retreat years ago, and it was life changing for us, for the women who came, for the outside facilitators who came. And we realized that this safe space, as women, we wear a million hats. We do all of
Yes.
these things for other people. We pour out to our children, our spouses, our family, our friends, our neighbors, our coworkers. But there's so many times that we don't pour into ourselves. And if we want to continue to pour out into other people, we need to fill our cup first completely. It is like put the oxygen mask on ourselves first before we can help other people. And so having these women come to the retreat, a lot of them are mothers, they're business owners, they pour into a lot of people, and being able to do their inner work so that way then they can continue to lead the women who they're leading is just it's so powerful. So that's kinda how it started years ago. That was a really long answer, so thank you for being patient in my
No,
long reply.
but it was so much in there, and it was so powerful what you said, because while you were talking, I was listening too, but I was also thinking. It had me think about when you said a lot of women say that they don't have any friends, and we do wear 1,000 hats, whatever that looks like. And so there was so many women that I would meet in counseling that talked about not having any friends, but, we almost if you become a mom, a wife, a partner, a business owner, whatever that looks like, you lose that sense of self, and I think it's so easy for women to lose their identities because we're giving, we're nurturers, whatever we're dealing with, whether it's humans or businesses, we're going to give our heart, soul, emotions in that. And then when that chapter, whatever project we're working on is closed, it's like, well, what's next? Who am I? And so when I was in my internship, I had one of my clinical directors say that a woman's worst fear is being lonely. And I've noticed, like, when we get older and we feel like we are lonely, media didn't help with that either, with this infamous and having cats and stuff, the stigma that's surrounding that. But, we do lose that sense of community after our identity door has shut. I call it the pseudo identity because we've put everything on hold most of the time with us that we don't know what we like, what we want to do. So having the groups or the empowering, I like to call it empowering youth sessions, people are able to get back to knowing what they want. Women are able to get back to knowing what they want for
Yeah, and
them.
you think about, like, God, the women I meet now who are becoming empty nesters, it's like
Yes.
they poured into their kids, and now it's like, "Who am I?" Like,
Yes.
it's like trying to figure out, like, well, this is the woman I was, and then this was the mother I kind of was and still am, but, like, everything is shifting, and so it's like, they know they're still the same them, but there's so much growth and different things that have happened over the last, how many years of raising your kids or whatever it is that you're doing, and so
Yes.
being able to look at yourself, and sometimes the women who don't have kids, it's like, "Hey, I get to that certain point in my career and I'm looking around like I'm super successful, but I'm fucking miserable. Now what do I do?"
Yes. Yes.
You know? And so being able to find a community or a tribe of women who can, like, help you through that, and what does your next step look like? Where do you wanna go? What do you want to do next? And being able
Yes.
to have that support system is huge. I would like everyone to have that support system. And so a lot of times, like, I gather a lot of people. I like to gather people, and I love being able to introduce other women to each other and being able to watch those relationships flourish, it's amazing. So the very first retreat that I had hosted, a lot of times I encourage women to choose the option of sharing a queen or king bed with another woman, even if they don't know the woman. And I try to be intentional about who we pair up with who. But the very first retreat, there were two women who came to the retreat both solo. And so we put them in a room together, and they were both a little hesitant about it. I don't know, I'm sharing a room with another woman, sharing a bed with another woman, like this, I don't know how to feel about this. They hit it off completely. And in the following months after the retreat, the one woman who was total introvert, who had never ever even done this activity, went and did skydiving with this roommate months after the retreat.
Wow.
And she's like, she's like, the fact that I became friends with this woman and then went skydiving isn't anything she had ever wanted to do. And so it just opens up the possibilities of, like, where do you want to go with life? And they've had an amazing friendship since. It's beautiful.
Nice. Oh my God. Skydiving. I'm like, whoa. But wow, that was nice how that happened. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
I
even
mean,
know when I went to an event, because you do some fabulous events, and when I went there for that event, before going to the class, like, I met some people, like, that was there, and I actually hit it off with a couple of people too, and I was like, I went there solo, didn't know anyone. And
mhm.
you introduce us to different people, and then I introduced myself to some people, and yeah, left away with a couple of phone numbers and connections.
I
So
love
it's
that. So
cool.
years ago, when I had my first women's event, I ended up taking over a women's group on Meetup. And I, didn't really know, and I still have that group on Meetup, but my description, and I've left it ever since when I took over it years ago. I think the very first line of that women's group is, I have a confession. I hoard good people. And it's true. I totally hoard good people. You're a good person. You're part of my clan now. Like I love bringing good people together. So I'm so glad you were at one of those events and that you met other amazing people because I'm just surrounded by them. I love being able to collect them and introduce wonderful people to other amazing people. It's so fun to watch. It's like Mama Bear heart is just like all warm and fuzzy whenever it happens.
Yeah, and that's pretty cool because usually I don't like women groups. I know this is one of the things
That's
Be
okay.
because in some places, where I would go, like, in the past, it was more clicky. Most of the
Sure.
friends came and they stayed together, and if you were, like, solo or whatever else, you pretty much stayed that way, or you would build a bond during that experience, whatever that looks like, and after it was over. Like,
Hmm.
nothing stuck. So when I go to events like yours, and I went to another event that was pretty cool, and I felt that sense of community because it's not clicky, it's a community. And when you have that type of event, that makes it, so much better. And
Hmm.
now I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to try it now. Cause first I'd be like, oh no, I'm not going. But now I'm like, why not go and see? Because I mean, 2 out of 2, I've been doing good with creating community with other women.
I love it. It's so perfect. And I mean, I think part of the thing too is that, it's not surface level. It's like the work that I hold space for, the work that I do, it's deep work, right? And so you
Yes.
you are able to connect with the other women who are going through something very, very similar. And when you can be vulnerable, you're totally authentic. And so when you are vulnerable with those emotions and what you're feeling and your experiences, when you are your true self, I mean, that shines through people and people want to be around that. They want to be around your true authentic self. And so when you can put aside all of your bullshit and all of the stories that you're telling yourself and you've got the true you that's coming out, that's what people are attracted to. They want to be around you, who you are. So how do you get to the true you? Trying all these different modalities like we're talking about.
Yes, that's how. That is how, and you have to be intentional with it. Even if you're hesitant, right? You could
Mhm.
be hesitant, I don't know what to expect, but if you set that intention of what you want, you'll get through it. You'll get
Yeah.
through it just fine on this journey. Again, it's a journey, everyone. It's not a one and done. It's a journey.
When people show up and they really haven't tried breath work or retreat or anything, I just tell all the first timers, like, just don't have any expectations. Just be completely open to the experience. And that's what holds true with life in general. And if you have an expectation about things in life, you're probably gonna be pretty disappointed. And if you can be open and stay in the flow of what is coming and going with your life, it's a whole lot more enjoyable.
Yes. You hear that, everyone? So Kim, we've talked, and I've purposely saved this for the end because I didn't want it to get lost in our conversation. Can you tell us about your business, how to book? Do you do virtual services or all of your virtual services and any upcoming events you would like to share? And also, how can we find you on social media?
Absolutely. So, yeah, you can find me on social media. On Instagram, I am Kim Nection, like connection, but Kim Nection. So, Kim Richter is my name. It's Richter like the Richter scale. Facebook is currently under Breath.Energy Studio, but that probably will be changing to Kim Nection soon. And you can probably find me on TikTok, and there's some random handle about volleyball that I don't even know what is, but you can find me on there. To look at websites for all the information, you can go to breath.energy. There's no .com. And that's where I host all of my classes with the breathwork and the sound, the women's classes. The studio is in Tempe, Arizona. Some of the classes that are offered there are offered virtually. So anybody outside of the state or the country can log in to do the virtual breathwork. And then the women's retreats are Vibrant Living, the number 4 and the letter U.com. So vibrantliving4u.com. And those retreats happen historically once a year, third weekend in January. So the one coming up is January 15th through the 18th. It is up in Flagstaff, Arizona. And I do still have some spots available for any women who are looking for this type of transformation and growth. And my co-host and I do offer a weekly Zoom session every Wednesday at 12:30 just for additional support. We choose a different topic every single week to be able to help all of the women on their path and being able to continue moving forward. And so that's every Wednesday that we offer 12:30 Arizona time. And that's a membership that's $49 a month. And you can either log in or we can send the recording to you and you can watch it at a later date.
Oh, that is so nice. You do so much. You do
I know,
so
and that's
much.
and really, I'm, like, trying to hold back because 'cause I've got, like, networking for women in health and wellness events that's coming up in January, so if you're listening and you're in Arizona, there's a networking event coming up in January, and it's all the things, but that's a lot of it. So if you're looking for a safe space to connect, grow, and find the joy, that's me, and I'll have a bunch of different people, modalities, all of the things to be able to help you to do that.
Connect, everyone. I like that, Kim Connect, right? Kim Connect, am I saying
Connection.
that right? Okay.
Connection. Instead of connection, it's
Connection.
connection,
See, I
which
like
is
that.
really I mean, I help you connect to yourself, your higher self, help you connect with other professionals, help you connect with, new friendships and relationships. So it's a lot of connection that happens.
Oh, this is amazing. I knew you was amazing. So yes, and I am connected. So I can see why that name is like so fitting because I am connected and everyone else, you all can get connected too. One more question I do want to ask you because some of the listeners or viewers may live in other states. Is it breath work available in other states? And if so, how would they get connected in their community?
Yeah, so there's, a lot of times people offer breathwork, but it's like a pop-up. Like they might offer it like at a yoga studio once a quarter or something. Like it's not very, very consistent. And so I would say first of all, Google it, see if there's in person because in person can be incredibly, incredibly powerful. So I would suggest see if there's anything in person near you. And then go to breath.energy and try a virtual class. You can just log in and we do classes Monday, Tuesday, Thursday nights. Try it virtually. You be in your comfort of your own house. Sometimes people like the virtual even more because they don't have to go anywhere. And then if you're super curious about it and don't want to do the virtual and there's nothing around you, and you're a female, consider the women's retreat. Most of my retreats, I mean, sometimes half the participants fly in from outside of the state. And it's just
Awesome.
it's that powerful that, it's worth taking, a little vacation to come do that. So that way then and I do offer breath work twice during the retreat.
Okay.
Mhm.
Awesome. Definitely, I'll have the website and I'll have all your social media information posted so they can definitely follow you and
Great.
participate. And come on to Arizona, everyone. Enjoy that weather, especially in Flagstaff.
Mhm.
Flagstaff is the best place to have the retreat.
Oh, it's up in the mountains. It's gorgeous. I mean, there was one year there were 20 some deer in the backyard. It was amazing.
Wow.
So
That
cool.
is neat. Well, this has been amazing, Kim. Oh my gosh. I mean, it's refreshing talking to you. I can even feel the serenity as you sipped your serenity earlier through the yes. Yes, through the show. And I know as we come to a close, I know we covered a lot. Do you have any last words for the viewers or listeners?
You know, the one one thing that has always come up with this work that I do, and I swear, I hope it's on my tombstone one day. Um, Love is always the answer.
Yes.
It always is. So whatever you're doing in life, whatever you think that you want your response to be, or how you want to handle this situation, what would love do? Love is always the
Yes.
answer. That's something that I always fall back on. So that's my shtick. That's what I'm leaving with you.
All right. Awesome. Well, everyone, this has been another amazing episode in the books. I mean, us talking about serenity right now, we all need to talk about this. I think we should talk about serenity, peace, self love all the time. We'll be back again with another amazing guest, or you may have me solo. Who knows? I don't know how I'm flowing. We'll see. Because sometimes I may have a little to share. I don't know. But until next time, everyone, this is Kimbralon B. I am signing off. See you next time. Take care. Bye.